Recording in progress.
Well,
There's
I
Lieutenant.
don't see Ed.
Alice Lopez. Hello, everyone. Please welcome to 6E Commission meeting here. We're filing in, getting ourselves started. We'll start at or a couple minutes after 6:30. We're waiting for, I guess we have a quorum now.
There's Ed. See Ed A. Ed's there.
And there's Ed.
Bunch of technical snafus, sorry.
No worries. I'm gonna grab my. Okay, do we see? Oh, there's Frank over there. Okay, we definitely have a quorum now. We didn't have one before. Okay. 6 o'clock. I know that Patrick is going to be a minute late. So we may have to get started without him. And Kevin, do we see Kevin on the other side?
I'll send Kevin a little text.
Okay. Again, welcome everyone to ANC 6E Commission meeting. We're about to get started. Whenever, Rochelle, you're ready, after you're sending this reminder message, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, looks like you're okay. You're all set. So, okay, welcome, 6E Commission. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and the commissioners for being here. Just as a quick reminder, we will be, monitoring for misbehavior. So please. Please be respectful of your neighbors with your comments and feedback. We do not have a chat, but there is a Q&A, so feel free to ask questions in the Q&A, and we will give you a chance to ask them towards the end of a presentation if there's time for that, or try to answer them in the Q&A section as well. I want to go ahead and call the meeting to order and invite our secretary to, well, actually, no. Next, to approve the agenda. The agenda was posted online I believe I posted it on Monday, a draft version, and a subsequent update on Wednesday. It's been circulated, etc. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Chair, I think we need to establish quorum before we approve the agenda.
Oh, yeah, roll call. Sorry, roll call is number one. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do roll. 6001.
Present.
6002 present. 6003.
Present.
6004.
Here.
6005. 6006.
Present.
6007. Chair, we have 5 of 7 commissioners present. We have a quorum to do business.
Okay, thank you for that. I don't know, I got things mixed up in my head. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Okay, so I believe Denise seconded that. So do any discussion about the agenda? Or the motion? Okay, all in favor of the agenda, say aye.
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 Okay, 5 out of 5, thank you. Let's move on to the minutes. The minutes were circulated pretty quickly after the last meeting to the commissioners and solicited for input. And then I pulled those out from the cloud and sent them to the secretary yesterday. So they have had an opportunity for edits and feedback. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
A second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Frank and Denise, discussion about the minutes?
Joe.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Have minutes.
Aye.
Okay, great. On to the next agenda item, number 4. PSA report, Metropolitan Police 1D. This is the area south of New York Avenue.
Michael, could you make me co-host, please?
I haven't done that yet.
No, you haven't.
And there we go. And if you're on the, do we have anyone on the phone? We don't have anyone on the phone, so I don't have to stay. I don't have to say *9. So, and I've got Lieutenant Don again. Welcome. How you doing, sir?
Hey there. Okay, it's working. The transition from participant to panelist always kind of kicks me out. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Lieutenant Donegan from 1D, obviously the area south of New York Avenue. So I will promise not to take all 10 minutes of my time. Overall, in the area south of 1D, the Mount Vernon Triangle area has cooled off considerably. Unfortunately, the area around North Capitol and M Street has become quite a hot spot for us in the last couple of weeks, really. There have been several incidents of gunfire, 2 incidents where someone was struck, and unfortunately, one of those incidents where a young man lost his life as a result of the shooting. So we have increased our patrol presence in that area and kind of put tighter reins on the officers that are assigned to the PSA so that they aren't venturing out really to anywhere else to try to keep a strong presence in that community to prevent any further violence. Between the homicide detectives and the 1D detectives, they are definitely actively working everything from the homicide to the unlawful discharge of firearms, where it's gunshots are being fired but no one is being struck. We're still obviously actively working on those cases, pulling video, working to identify witnesses and identify who the shooters are so that they are not out there victimizing anyone else. The only other items of note would be that around the North Capitol and H Street area, there were a couple of violent crimes. There was a robbery that occurred down on H Street on the 23rd, and then there was a domestic related assault. It's actually called mayhem, is the DC code charge, but it was essentially an aggravated assault between 2 known people that did result in an arrest inside the Walmart parking garage back on the 18th. So those are the major incidents going on, obviously, with a lot of our energy being paid on that North Capitol and M Street area to make sure that things cool down. So that's my report, and I'll take any questions you have.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Hi.
No.
Hi, Lieutenant. How are you? So there was an
Hey.
incident. Hi. There was an incident on May 23rd where there was the shooting that was on the 1200 block of North Capitol, and the car landed in behind on the Ridge Street alley. Was that what you referred? Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes, so
The
that was
shooting?
Right, that was the night before the homicide. Unfortunately, both of those were essentially in the same area. I was on the scene of the first one. I was on days off the second night. But yeah, that one, I think it was a Toyota Corolla
Yep.
up on Ridge Street that was found.
I'm looking at a picture
that
of it
had
right
been,
now. Yep.
right, and that one, I know it's the broken record, but that vehicle was actually taken in a hop-in stolen auto elsewhere in the city prior to, obviously, its use in the shooting.
Okay. But that was not resolved yet, the shooting.
Correct. It's still
Okay.
open and being worked on by the detectives.
Mhm. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions from commissioners? And any questions from the community, either in the QA or raise your hand? There's no one on the phone to call *9. Okay, looks like we might be letting you off a little easy this evening. You have 10 minutes and you'll, oh, there's a question here in the Q&A. Sorry, that was not a question for you. So, okay, let me see. Someone's just joining us on the phone now. Welcome to 60 Commission meeting. Currently, oh, there was a hand and now it's gone. Okay, well, there's no further questions for Lieutenant Donegan. Thank you for your report out this evening, and we'll pop over to 3D.
Okay. Hi there, can you hear me?
Yep, coming through fine, thank you.
Lieutenant Dai, 3rd District. So 3rd District for 6E has kind of cooled off. We did have some, some gunfire that was closer to about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and on the 1200 block of 4th Street Northwest. That was negative, but I think I was talking with Commissioner Nigra, or Captain Small was talking to Commissioner Nigra about that. It was what we call a detection by our shot spotter system, which detects gunfire, and officer did respond out there, but again, that was a negative result. We are aware of the border issue with 1D, like Lieutenant Donegan was talking about, and we've been increasing our patrols along the North Capitol corridor as well off of New York Avenue, so that we try to mitigate anything that's coming through. This didn't affect you guys, but we had a shooting, because it's a little bit north of you, at 1700 block of 9th Street, a little bit north of 6E. That was domestic related, and suspect is a warrant for that suspect was made. So still outstanding, but we hope to close that case very shortly. And again, that was a non-life-threatening wound to an adult on that call. That was 3 days ago. But
What
that's all
about-
I have for 3D. Yeah, go ahead.
One of our constituents said they heard about someone getting shot in the head on Sunday. Is that the same shooting that you're talking about?
Yes, it was a graze wound. So it was
Yeah.
yes, it's again domestic related. There is a warrant out for the suspect, and it was, we hope to close that case very shortly.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Oh, Rochelle. Sorry, Commissioner Nigro.
Okay. Hi, Lieutenant Dai.
How are you?
I'm okay. So I just need some follow-ups. As far as you know, there was the robbery on Ridge Street on the 27th. Has anything you found
No updates on that. I'm sorry.
Okay. And then there was the hit and run on May 12th at 5th and M.
Yep, that's still outstanding. So
We have a lot of outstandings, Lieutenant. I feel like, we are, as I say, we are in the Bermuda Triangle and things just happen and there's just no resolution. It just
no,
never
there is
ends.
a process towards it, and especially for hit and runs, that's a case of backtracking, getting the
Mhm.
warrant signed, see if we have a tag for that vehicle, finding out if the tag was actually on the correct vehicle and matching that. So there is a process for hit and runs.
Okay.
The robbery, that was 1800 block of 6th Street Northwest. I think that's what you're referenced to, correct?
No, the robbery on Ridge Street.
On Ridge Street, okay.
What was the robbery on 6th Street?
That was on the 25th.
For what block?
1800 block?
No, that's not my, that's
Okay.
not my area, so.
Okay.
No.
So your robbery, 203 Florida Avenue, was that what you're referring
No.
to?
Ridge Street on the
have a robbery
27th
there.
of May.
Yeah, the 27th of May. We had a robbery at 200 block of Florida Avenue as well that
Okay.
day. That's again, a little bit north of your area. And then 400 block of Riggs Street. Yes, we had another
Yep.
robbery.
And then because, okay, so if any of my constituents are on the line, they heard the fireworks last night. So
Yeah.
that is the official start of fireworks season was last night. And it's going to go on until after the 4th of July, clearly. So what should be the procedure this year, Lieutenant? Because last year the fire marshal was involved, but nothing really happened. Is there anything?
That's not true.
happening?
Nothing. I would disagree that you say nothing really happened. We go out there, and the last 2 years we go out there. We try to stop the fireworks. We collect the fireworks. We bring them back to the district, and then the fire marshals will pick up the fireworks. Usually that's what happens.
Well, what
So-
are they? Isn't the fire marshal supposed to be taking the lead on this now?
They are, and again, same thing as last year. There hasn't been too much change, but again, MPD can go over and pick up fireworks. We can go over there. We're always here to respond to firework calls. We did yesterday. Again, yesterday it was just the sound for the fireworks. We didn't actually find any fireworks. We didn't stop anybody because there was no one around when we responded. But we responded pretty quick because it's usually younger kids. They're shooting them off right now, and then they run away.
Yep. Okay. And then lastly, I'm sure my fellow commissioners are curious about the big drug bust on O Street.
I can't
What?
discuss it right now, unfortunately.
What do you mean? It's in the press.
Well, we go by the
We have a
press
list of names this long.
right? Yeah, you can go by the press release, ma'am. So
So is there anything that as a commission we can do to help with this case at all?
what do you mean?
Our community impact statements, are we at that stage yet? Or is there anything like that we can do or?
Yeah, you can definitely reach out to the it's for the U.S. attorneys assigned to 3rd district is Anita LaRue. So you can reach out to her and let me see. See if I can we don't have chat enabled, do we?
No.
No. Otherwise I would add her email contact for that. But again, it's Anita LaRue for impact statements. She's the U.S. attorneys assigned to 3rd district. Her email is anita.larue@usdoj.gov.
Because that's really between it's a Michael and Frank's and Alex's area, but that was quite a list of people.
Yep.
Okay.
But reference to Ridge, yeah, that case is still open, so it hasn't been
Okay.
closed yet.
I'm done.
Lieutenant, I just have a question related to that same incident. Have you changed your policy about releasing mugshots for suspects? My understanding was that MPD didn't do that, but at the mayor's press conference, you released the mugshots of all the suspects on a big poster board.
I can't speak for what the mayor does, sir. So we have policies about what we can release, what is disseminated to the public. Names, once we were approved to release them, we release them. Obviously, juvenile cases are a little bit different, and we're not going to release normally the juvenile names unless it's a significant reason and concern to the public to do so.
Okay, but
But
that's
for
still a
adults-
policy for suspects not releasing mugshots and with the presumption of innocence, unless
Mhm.
you're looking for, an active
Right.
search. Okay. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Anything else?
So any other commissioner comments for 3D? And any feedback from the community? Feel free to raise your hand. We have one person on the phone who can hit *9 to ask a question. And I'm not seeing any. Thank you very much, Lieutenant.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. And we are running a little hot, but I do see Jasmine, our next speaker, here. So why don't we just roll right into our item 6, our mayor's office community representative report from Jasmine Coyle.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Jasmine Quilton. I am the Ward 6 liaison for the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. Kevin usually covers this side, but he left the mayor's office, so now I will be covering this side along with my partner Hazel Crawford. I don't know if he's in, if he's on right now, but we're just here to just give a brief introduction because I think we're all new to you all. So we'll be sending out emails shortly to meet with you all to cover concerns in each of you guys' areas, SMDs. So look for an email in regards to that. I don't know if you can pull Hazel Crawford up so he could just give a brief introduction as well. And just one more thing, we have the Pride Parade happening this Saturday. I'm going to drop that link in the chat for all those that are interested in attending or passing that information on. With that being said, I'm going to give it over to Hazel so he can give a brief introduction if he's on.
So Hazel was here and
Yes.
then he
I
disappeared.
tried to promote him to panelist a couple times and it didn't move.
Did not move. Okay. I'll just drop his information in the chat as well, so you can have our email, so you no longer send those emails to Kevin. Okay, I'm gonna drop it as soon as I'm done talking. If that's a bit. Oh yes, I do have that option to do so, or I do not have that option.
There is not a chat, and you can only ask a question in the Q&A if you're not a panelist. So if you wanted, once we demote you back to normal status, you can then leave a Q&A question with any information that you want. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Open Streets event that we just had?
Yeah, we did have an Open Streets event. So I'm still kind of unclear if that was Ward 2 or Ward 6 Open Streets. I did speak with DDOT, so they may be doing another Ward 6 Ward 6, but still unclear. But the mayor, she did attend. She did go down and talk and speak with a lot of the neighbors out. So if you guys had any complaints in regards to Open Streets, any concerns or anything that you want to push out, please feel free to do so as well. But if not, that's
I was able to move him over. He is here now.
yay. Okay, Hazel.
Hey everyone, my name is Hazel Crawford. I look forward to working with everyone. Let me just turn on my camera. I look forward to working with you all. I'm currently at another reception for Ward 6 on behalf of Ward 6. Yes, I look forward to working with you all. Do you all have any questions for me?
So Hazel, are you Ward 6 or Ward 2? I'm confused.
Ward 6, so I'm Jasmine's new partner.
Okay, so Michael, maybe Jasmine and Hazel or they can share stuff with the Ward 2 people so we get the Ward 2. I don't know, and plus we have 2 blocks to Ward 5, Michael.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Can either of you speak to how well you can represent the other wards on your when you come to these, because actually 6E is now split between Ward 2 and Ward 6. So
and 2 blocks to 5. Do not forget my 5.
A couple blocks of 5, like a little bit. I don't know. If anyone here is from the Ward 5 section of Rochelle's area, please raise your hand and represent. Oh, Ed, you are. Okay.
Feel free to stay late. We'll do a Ward 5 session after we wrap.
Well, sorry for forgetting about Ward 5. Anyway, so I mean, is there any like substantive difference between who comes to these meetings, whether it's the Ward 2 versus Ward 5 moker or 6?
So we usually would go to the Ward 6. I can meet with the Ward 2 mokers to see if there's any information that we can bring over to you all. so they don't have to come. But I did not know that you guys were also needing Ward 2 information, but it's good to know for the future. So for the next meeting in July, I'll have everything for Ward 2, and we can move
Great.
forward.
And
And two
should I,
little blocks of Ward 5, 2 blocks of Ward 5.
And the 2 blocks of Ward 5.
and,
Sorry.
and should I continue to invite you and now also Hazel to the meeting?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I want to say Hazel, but it's Hazel, right? Okay. Great.
All righty. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming out this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Okay, and we continue to run hot. On to item 6. Report from Ward 2 Councilmember Brooke Pinto's office, Brian Romanowski. Hey, Brian.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Brian?
Pretty good. I'm going to try to keep you ahead of schedule because I love it. So Councilmember Pinto enjoyed seeing many neighbors at the 7th Street Open Streets event and the Shaw Main Streets mural dedication this past weekend. So thanks for everybody that stopped by. She was at 7th and Q with some of our staff and a table and a big pink tent that we're going to be using from now on. So be on the lookout for our pink tent. Today was a huge day for the council. They took their final vote on the Local Budget Act for fiscal year 2023 and the final vote on the ANC redistricting boundaries for the next decade. There were no major changes to the Ward 2 ANC redistricting task force's recommendations. So if you followed along, most of the drama today was in Ward 3. So happily it didn't involve us too much. And so that was kind of the big deal on the council today. There was a lot of other legislation debated, but I won't go into any of that unless you have any questions on that. DPR announced today that they're going to be holding additional late night hype events. So I don't know if you guys have heard about late night hype, but they're basically nighttime block parties open to residents of all ages. And they have like a bounce house, music, food, video games, and things of that nature. The next event is going to be at the Kennedy Rec Center. And this is on Friday, June 17th. So a week from this Friday, June 17th. And that's from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Kennedy Rec Center. They're also going to do some at local pools. And I think our closest one is Banneker Pool. And that is Friday, August 19th. So we've got a while to go until that one, but August 19th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. At Banneker Pool, and they keep the pool open late and have a DJ, and it's pretty fun. I will post a link to register and my contact info in the Q&A just so people can access that. But I do think they want people to RSVP for the late night hype event. I just want to remind everybody to submit 311 requests this summer. If you have typical summer issues like rodent issues, you can always submit those and the rodent team will come out pretty quickly. Usually that also requires DPW to come out if there's a source of the trash that's the issue, because a lot of times we know that's the problem. But do make frequent use of 311. And then finally, I wanted to just remind everybody that Election Day is 2 weeks away. You can now vote by mail via USPS or the mail ballot drop boxes. I think your closest ones are Shaw Library, Dunbar High School, and the Northwest 1 Library, but you can use any box around the city. If you see a lock on it, make sure you check above the lock. They're usually open. The lock is just to keep it locked in the open position. I think a lot of times people get confused and they'll contact me and say, I tried to vote today and it was locked. And I'll say, it's actually open. There is a padlock, but it's open. So be careful and don't be fooled by the padlocks. You can also vote in person starting this Friday. And I think your closest locations are, and I'm pretty sure it's the MLK Library, McKinley Tech High School, and R.H. Terrell Rec Center. And then you can, of course, vote in person on Election Day if you'd like. And I think Dunbar High School is your central location for voting in person. But you can visit dcboe.org. That's dcboe.org. And check your registration status and your voting options. There's a cool map that you can look at to find the closest locations for you and all your options. If you have any trouble or did not receive a mail ballot and would like one, I think there's still a little bit of time to get a mail ballot. So contact the Board of Elections or our office ASAP. I have a pretty good contact at Board of Elections who can help us, get you your ballot if that is what you need. And I think that is all for me.
So I do have one question for you, Brian. I saw that the that Councilmember Pinto's community bike ride was canceled due to extreme heat. Is there a new date for that?
No, but sadly, I think probably the fall, because I think the heat will just keep being an issue now that we've entered June. Yeah, I had COVID when I was planning to lead the ride, so I wasn't too upset that it was canceled. And so we definitely will still do that though, because I love the bike ride, as you know. So look out for, I think, like September.
Okay, thanks for that. Do we have any
I just
additional?
I want to do a quick PSA while we're on the topic of elections. Kennedy Rec Center, I think due to ongoing renovations, will not be a voting site this year. I know that it's been used in years past as the voting site. So go to the DC Board of Election website to find the closest voting center to you. It won't be Kennedy Rec Center this year.
Thank you. Good point.
That's good to know.
I have something for
Commissioner
Brian.
Magro. Yeah.
Were you able to reach out to my constituents, Mateo, about the garbage concern?
I'd have
Does
to
it sound
check.
familiar to you? Can you check your
No.
email?
I will.
Can you
I will.
about trash?
Okay, I'll check on. Oh, Jay Sabata. Yes, yes.
Yes. Could you reach out to them, please?
Well, got it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess if we're checking on specific issues, Brian, I'll see if you have an update for me on 1000 S Street, that derelict former market there on the corner.
Yeah, I talked to DCRA this weekend. I know a constituent talked to Councilmember Pinto about this as well. And let me just see what they said. They have visited several times in recent months. I think they were checking on the tax sale. I'll just email you if that's okay. But I know that we were in contact with DCRA this week about it. I did ask them to address the vegetation, especially because that's an easy thing to address.
Sure. I just want to make sure that you know that we still care.
Got it.
Over here. Okay. Well, I appreciate that that update. Again, we're still running hot, which means we may have some dead air. So if you've got anything else to share with us, now's your chance. And hearing none. Are any questions or comments from the community for our Ward 2 council member representative? Constituent services in Ward 2. Okay, seeing no hands, no Q&A. All right, thank you so much for your time this evening, Brian, and have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so on to the next item, which is our Ward 6 rep.
He was here and then she went away. Let me see if she's back.
Let me see if I have an email from Naomi.
Yeah, no, she was in the room a moment ago. So I don't know if she got dropped or something.
I see Jean there from Councilmember Allen's office. Sean Madison.
John, do you want us to promote you while we're looking for Naomi? You want to?
Yeah, I saw Naomi's name, but she's not there now.
Am I moving somebody over?
Yes. Did you get John?
Oh.
So I'll get her.
Okay. Oh, Shauna Berry?
No, Jean. It looks like Jean, but it's Jean.
Got it. Okay, sorry.
There we go.
Gotcha.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, John.
I'm Jean from Councilmember Allen's office. I don't want to steal Naomi's thunder, but here's the bad news. Naomi is leaving our office, retiring after 15 years. And so I will be your new POC. Happy to put my email in the chat, and Brian covered a bunch of stuff that happened on council today, so I won't go over that. If there's anything, I know we're sort of straddling, Brian and I are trying to work closely together in terms of Ward 6 residents that are now Ward 2 residents and vice versa. And so if there's anything you need, please reach out. And I'd love to hear, actually, Denise, how your community day went last Saturday.
It was great. Everyone enjoyed themselves. I got many emails and calls on how great the event was. It was great. Nice to see you, Jean. Hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm also doing double time with some other things, so I'm sorry I'm not visible.
Fine.
But I'm here, and anything you guys need, let me know.
Sounds good.
Yeah, oh, there's Naomi. Hello, Naomi, are you with us?
Yes, I am. I lost my internet in the middle of the conversation. Thanks, John, for stepping in. I just have can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I just have a couple of reminders to you. Now that the redistricting business is all settled, we move into next year. So I want to remind you all that the sign up for running again for next year starts June 20th and July 20th through, what is it, August 10th. And the new ANCs are formed, of course, 2023. And so there will be a swearing in, of course, around the 2nd. And all of the new boundaries and the new members take effect thereafter. So I just want to remind you, if you plan on running, to keep an eye to the opening of the pickup of your petitions and the closure date. Any questions about that? We're good? That's the main thing I wanted to get across. And
So Naomi, it's Rochelle. So I want to say, it was great working with you, and it was a pleasure for all these years.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I wish you all the best in your retirement.
In case everyone doesn't know, this is my last month, my last ANC meeting. And therefore, I want to introduce to you, if you don't already know, John Madison, who's online here, who will be replacing me in my relationship with you. John, you've already introduced yourself, I assume.
Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to mention besides thank you, Naomi, for so many years of your service. I can't tell you what it's meant to all of us. I do want to say that for the Kennedy Rec Center, I know that I've worked on that for a long time with Naomi. And if there are things to follow up on, I know that it's not Ward 6 anymore, but it's really important to us. And we've put a bunch of money in to make that place be what it should be. And so if there's any follow-up, I'm happy to be a part of that.
Great, thank you.
Actually, for the rest of this year, you've got all of us.
That's good to know.
Thank you, Naomi.
You're welcome. Thank you all
Thank you so
much.
much.
It's been
Thank you,
great
Naomi.
working with you. Been really
Thank you.
great. Right.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Naomi.
Mhm.
Okay, do we have any comments from community members? Feel free to raise your hand or ask a question in the Q&A.
Hey, I've got one more thing, actually.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And thanks, Naomi and John. I know that we were kind of working on this together a few months back, and there was some email traffic about this week, but I just wanted to circle back and say we're still super focused on sort of the follow-ups coming out of that. The traffic safety walk we did in Mount Vernon Triangle, and residents are really interested to know about progress there. So to the extent that Charles is still tracking on it, and any information that you've got from his office perspective, definitely interested in staying engaged with all that. So thanks.
Absolutely. I know, Charles, I don't know if you were on that email chain with Kenyatta, but there is definitely a follow-up coming from the number 2 at DDOT. And so we are anxiously awaiting that, but we're pushing hard on that for sure.
Yep. Sounds great. Awesome. Thanks.
One more comment. Can I make one more comment?
Of course.
the way we've worked in this office, John has been working in your area now for some time as the constituent services director. So she assumes the ANC mantle as well. So that's the only really big change. She's very knowledgeable about the area. She's been working in that area for quite a while.
Wonderful. Okay, any additional comments from the community?
Which is just one comment really quickly. Jean, I look forward to following up with you. I want to make sure that we don't lose momentum on our conversations about the closure of the Northwest One Library, or the proposed closure of the Northwest One Library, and opportunities that we can either repurpose that space to continue to serve the Northwest One community, or more preferably, find a space for a full service library serving Northwest One.
Yes, Alex, I saw your email today. And I have a check-in with Councilmember Allen on Friday that'll be on my list.
Thank you.
Okay, last call. Ward 6.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Naomi. It was great working with you.
Same
And thanks, John. Looking forward to seeing you upcoming meetings.
Take care.
Thanks again. Okay, take care. All right, well, looks like we are caught up on time, if that's possible. Next item on the agenda, number 8, presentation from the U.S. Attorney General's Violence Reduction Program. We should be having Mohammed Sharif and Alan James. Are we seeing either of these individuals on the call?
They do not, unless they change somebody.
Okay, so
We
if
have-
either,
We have one of item 9, if you want to wait to see if 8 comes back.
let's see if we can get item 8. There is a number, someone who dialed in. If you are the person who is our item 8, either Alan James or Mohammed Sharif, hit *9 to raise your hand and we can ask you to unmute. Okay. Still not seeing anyone. I did send an email a minute ago inviting them to show up a little early, and I haven't heard back from them then either. Wow, it was 15 minutes ago. Okay, so looks like let's respect everyone's, we're just at the moment. Let's give them another minute to chime in. But we are queued up. We are teed up for item 9. Yeah. For I also there's a second presenter, Alice McFarland, who will also add when we move on to item 9. Okay, so let's go ahead and if it's okay, let's go ahead and bring up item 9, and we can circle back to item 8. I'll send Mr. Sharif an email letting him know that we're.
Michael,
yeah.
we have some of the violence interrupters from Cure the Streets that's supposed to come into our areas on the actual call. I see Father Factor, Cure the Streets, DC, Pierre Green, and Naja Field.
Okay, if they're not on the agenda, I don't know whether they are the individuals who are supposed to be speaking at that time.
Okay.
So why don't we flip over to item 9, and then I'll send an email to our item 8 participants and give them a heads up that they can join at around 7:30.
Okay.
Okay. So on to item 9. Welcome, Cristobal and Alice. Thanks for joining us here this evening.
Hi, I'm Cristobal. I'm the program coordinator for the education and outreach over at the Office of the Tenant Advocate. And with me is Alice McFarland, and we are item 9. So having said that, Alice is going to do a presentation about basically our agency's capabilities and the services that we provide District of Columbia tenants. And then after that, if there's any questions, we're both here, ready to answer those questions. So with that said, Alice, please.
Hello. Thank you everyone for inviting us to share your space. As Chris said, I am Alice McFarland. I'm one of the program analysts with the Office of the Tenant Advocate. And I'm here just to share with you a little bit about our agency. I'm gonna start sharing my screen.
You're coming up.
That's coming up?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so as I stated, we are the Office of the Tenant Advocate, and I want to share with you who we are and how OTA can work for you. So I'm going to start off with just a little bit of history. So OTA was created in 2006 as a division within the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs, DCRA. In 2007, OTA became an independent agency. Since its inception, we have been under the direction and leadership of Ms. Johanna Shreve, who is the Chief Tenant Advocate. Our mission of OTA is to advise, educate, advocate, and assist the tenants of the District of Columbia. How we do that is we are divided in 4 different departments. We have the legal branch, education outreach, policy advocacy, and emergency housing. The primary purpose of the legal branch is to provide technical advice and legal services to the tenants regarding disputes they may have with their landlords. So how that happens is once a tenant contacts the OTA hotline at 202-719-6560, depending on the nature of the case, the orders we receive, and availability, they are assigned either a case management specialist or an attorney advisor. In some cases, our attorney advisors actually go to court with some of our tenants or refer them to outside resources. Education outreach, who I am, who we are. Our purpose is to educate and inform the tenant community about tenants' rights, responsibilities, and rental housing matters. We provide webinars and trainings. We like to be invited to spaces like this. We go out into the community in various events to provide webinars and trainings regarding renters' rights, Lease 101, tenant associations, TOPA, which is Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act, and evictions. We also have reference materials such as the Tenants Bill of Rights, housing regulations and forms, and eviction lists. Emergency, in the case of a natural disaster, such as a fire or flood or government closure, for example, if DCRA comes and deems your space inhabitable or a unit inhabitable, OTA's emergency housing will offer hotel accommodations, financial assistance, storage. We also coordinate with other district agencies and community-based organizations to ensure that you all receive the services, displaced tenants receive the services they are needed. Some of our other resources are, we have monthly renter rights trainings, which happens every 3rd Thursday. We have YouTube tutorials. We also have posters, flyers, and forms with various different informations. We provide trainings for tenant associations and TOPA. Now that the public health emergency has ended, evictions are happening within the District of Columbia. In the District of Columbia, a tenant may be evicted for one of 10 specific reasons. 2 of those, the most common reasons are non-payment of rent and lease violations. All tenants being evicted for a lawful reason in the District of Columbia must receive a written notice with various requirements, including the reason for eviction. A tenant who has been lawfully evicted in the District of Columbia has the right to receive a written notice from their landlord describing the reason for which they were evicted, a written notice from the landlord with the landlord's intent to file in court unless the action is for a lease violation. If it is for a lease violation, a tenant has the opportunity to cure or correct a lease violation. What that means is, for example, if your lease says that you have no pets and you have a pet, you have the opportunity to correct that prior to being evicted. Tenants also have the opportunity to challenge the landlord's claims in court. If They also have the opportunity to prevent the eviction by paying the full amount of rent if the eviction is for non-payment of rent. In order to evict a tenant in the District of Columbia, landlords must go through the judicial process. If the landlord prevails and wins possession in an eviction case, the court issues a writ of restitution, which is a legal order that permits the landlord to take possession of the rental unit back from the tenant. In the District of Columbia, all lawful evictions must be scheduled by the U.S. Marshal. Self-help evictions are prohibited. They are illegal. When a landlord changes the locks or removes a tenant's belongings from the rental unit without the presence of a U.S. Marshal, that is prohibited. If that happens, you have the ability to contact your local authorities. If you are at risk of eviction for non-payment, you have one of three options. You can apply for emergency rental assistance. You can request a payment plan with your landlord. You can also call OTA's tenant hotline at 202-719-6560. If you are at risk of eviction for a lease violation, you can call OTA's tenant hotline at 202-719-6560. If you or someone you know needs our assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us. We are available via social media, our website, and our tenant hotline. Our website is ota.dc.gov. We're available via social media at @OTA@DC. Also, I'm gonna reiterate our tenant hotline, 202-719-6560. So of course, if you haven't taken anything else away from my presentation, please do not hesitate to use that hotline for any of your questions or concerns. However, you have the opportunity to ask any question you have right now. Thank you.
I actually have one question. What is the hours of staffing for the hotline?
9 to 5.
9 to 5. So just wondering whether, like, what
People can call.
to-
Sorry, apologies for the interruption. So from 9 to 5, there's somebody answering the phone. Other than that, there's also a recording answering machine. So if people call after hours, we get those calls the next day or the next business day.
Yeah, I guess in my mind, a hotline is someplace where someone's there to answer the phone, you know, when you need them and not to leave a voicemail. Which brings me to another question. I had some constituents who were having some issues with their landlord and unsafe conditions in their property, and they went to work with OTA, and the scheduled inspections were all during business hours when this individual was at work. And I think there's probably a high correlation of individuals who may be lower income, working a lot of hours and not being around when DCRA and OTA is available to do inspections. What's the opportunity for inspections kind of after normal business hours?
So that's a really good question, Commissioner. OTA, we provide legal services to tenants. We don't do the inspections. The inspections are done by the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs. And to be quite honest with you, that is their universe. Our universe is the legal assistance to the tenants. Okay,
that's a great answer. Any other commissioners?
I mean, it's the only one I can give you.
I wasn't being sarcastic. I was like,
it
was a very good answer. Yes. Actually, would you mind taking your screen down so we can see the rest of the panelists? Do we have any other questions? Denise, do you have any comments or questions for OTA? You'd asked for them to come out this evening.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Commissioner, if I may, we have one thing that I would like to plug real quick if possible. Is that all right, sir?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so we have a lot during the pandemic. Can you guys see the screen?
It is up now, yes.
Outstanding. So during the pandemic, our education and outreach team, we were super limited because obviously for a while we couldn't leave our houses and what have you, and we don't have to relive that. But so we went to YouTube, right? So we have a bunch of tenant tutorial videos that basically give answers to some of the more frequently asked questions that tenants have, right? So for example, what to do if they find a housing code violation in their house, what to do if you didn't get your security deposit back, right? So that's 1 month's rent. 1 month's rent is a lot of money. If you didn't get it back, you have a way to address that here with our tutorial videos. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to plug, because they are pretty helpful, right? So anyways, thank you for your time, and please reach out to our office if you or anybody you know is having difficulties with the landlord and or at risk of eviction. Thank you.
And before you pop off, Cristobal, how does one find those videos? Sorry, you pulled them up pretty quickly and they came down pretty quickly.
I apologize, my bad. One more time. So our basically, if you just Google YouTube DC Office of the Tenant Advocate, it'll come up. Our YouTube page is just DC Office of the Tenant Advocate. So either go to YouTube and then put it in the search engine, or just directly Google it. And so we're working on getting a bunch of different tutorials and also different languages. And please use them as a reference. We've worked all as an agency, the policy team, legal branch, and education outreach to provide these educational materials.
Great, thank you very much. So any other comments from commissioners or from community members? Feel free to raise your hand or press *9 if you're on the phone. Questions or comments for Office of Tenant Advocate? Okay, so hearing none. Quick. The question here is, do you have a database of tenant complaints?
So a database of tenant complaints. So the straight answer to the question is no. We do have he's typing an answer. So we do have, for example, though, a tracking system of all the intakes and all the calls that we get, right? Now, some of them may be complaints, some of them may be requests for assistance, right? But the direct answer is no. We do not have a database of all the complaints filed against landlords. DCRA, for example, though, they will have a database, and tenants can look up their landlords on a search engine that they have called Scout, right? So on there, you can see if your landlord has certain housing code violations and if they've been abated or not, right? But OTA does not. We provide legal services.
That is good to know. Okay, any other comments from the community? Looks like we are all set. So thank you very much, Cristobal and Alice, for your coming to our meeting this evening and sharing your information with us.
Outstanding. Everybody take care. Be well.
Okay, thanks. Take care. Okay, so let's try doubling back to item 8. Do we have Mohammed Sharif or Alan James on the call? We have now 2 people dialed in. If either of them are our item 8 presenters, feel free to press *9 to raise your hand and we can unmute you. Okay. I'm not seeing anyone from U.S. Attorney General's Office Violence Reduction Program. So Denise, you were saying that you saw some of our other violence interruption individuals on the call, but they're not part of our item 8 presentation. Is that correct? If you are part of the item 8 presentation, please raise your hand and we can add you as a panelist.
They are the ones who work with the OAG's office, who comes into the neighborhoods.
Okay.
They are who we will see in our neighborhood. Their title is not OAG, but that's who they work under.
Okay, well, I'm giving them an opportunity to raise their hand if they want to speak now, in lieu of the presenters who are on the agenda. Okay, there we go. You got that one, Ed? Hello, sir. Good, sir? Okay. You're almost with us. You're not quite unmuted yet. There you
Yes,
go.
I'm unmuted. I'm sorry, I'm on an 8A call while I'm on a call with you guys. Speaking about some things we're doing over in historic Anacostia, as well as in the Sursum Quarter community in Ward 6. My name is Dr. Kevin Fields, and I'm Executive Director with Father Factor Incorporated. And we are administering the Cure the Streets grant through the Office of the Attorney General. We're currently in year 3 of implementation of this particular project. We've just been tasked with implementing the program here in Ward 6 in Sursum Quarters community. We have identified 2 violence interrupters who will be working in the community, and that's from 1st Street Northwest to North Capitol Street Northwest down to K and back around through New York Avenue. That's our principal area. With the new buildings that's being put up and the influx of new tenants, we feel that's a real hot spot that we really need to get into the ground and be able to implement our violence reduction program. That will consist of meeting with the tenant leaders, helping to elect individuals who may be presidents of some boards and stuff, because they're instrumental in helping us to prevent violence in the community. To date, we have 5 employees which are employed for this program in Sursum Quarters. And the good thing about this is they're all from the community. They have strong ties to the community. We didn't bring in any new people to the community to do this work. We've identified a location, which is the number 5 New York Avenue, where we'll be, our offices will be housed, and we'll be providing violence prevention services in that community. We have 2 outreach workers, which will provide services for the individuals that we identified to be at risk of being involved with gun violence or gun activities or being a victim. And we also have 2 violence interrupters that we're hiring, and a administrative assistant and a program manager. Her name is Fiera Green. She's on the call as well. And our administrator, Najee Fields, who's also on the call. And we're just excited. We have our team currently in training at the OAG's office. They're being trained on the model that we're implementing, which is the Cure Global model. And the training is from June the 7th to June 11th. And when they finish, then we're going to begin our process of mapping the community, identifying the hot spots, engaging the residents in the community, and participating in meetings such as this one, and being active in the community, helping to change the norms around violence. Because what we've noticed, and the Attorney General indicated this last year in one of his talks about violence, is that in neighborhoods where you have Cure the Streets programs, there's been a reduction of violence of up to 47%. And that's our existing 6 locations throughout the city where we've been working. So we're excited about those numbers, and we're hoping to replicate those numbers here in the Sursum Quarters community, which encompasses Tyler House and Banner Lane and Shipley and all these different units and buildings, Temple Courts, everything that's here. We're looking to come into the community, and we're excited about the opportunity because we're empowering people from the community. We've had nothing but the best assistance from our ANC Commissioner Blackston, who has been very instrumental in helping us. We went on a walk together. We identified people in the community that could be assets to the program, those who we need to target for possible interventions, things like that. And she's very well connected to the community. And we participated in her outreach community event she had on June the 4th, because we wanted to introduce the community to the team. We wanted them to get to meet the individuals that we would have that would be out in the community providing violence prevention services. That was a very great event, very good event. I'm very encouraged by what we saw and the response from the community, because they were able to see the individuals who would be employed and in what capacity they'd be employed in, and they would be able to go out and be able to connect with them throughout that day. So that was pretty good. And just letting the community know that we're coming. And after we finish this training here, they'll be able to get on the ground and start doing some canvassing and visiting the businesses and meeting with people in the community, the residents, and letting people know what we're doing, and then working with people that we feel are impacted by violence and working to reduce those conflicts in the community that may result in violence. So with that, I'm encouraged, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any question you may have at this point.
Real quick, would you like me to bring forward your colleagues who you said were on the call here? And we are in this webinar format, so we can't see them unless you said Fiera Green and another.
Yes, is Fiera Green still on? We had a little trouble getting on. Like I said, I'm on 2 calls. I'm in Anacostia. I'm like in 2 parts of the city at the same time. I tell you, virtually. But I think Fiera Green is on. She's our new program manager. She comes to us with wealth of knowledge and experience. She can't speak at the moment. She just texts me. But she's been working on our other CURE team, which has been working in Eckerton and Truxton since 2019. And she's been recently promoted to manager of the Surgeon Quarters team here in the community. One of the reasons why she was heavily recruited was because when she was initially hired, she was hired because of her strong ties to the Sursum Quarter community when she was hired in Eckerton, and that she would be able to help resolve conflicts if they would arise between the individuals in Eckerton and Truxton with the individuals that's in the Sursum Quarter community. So with that and her knowledge and her work that she's done in Dunbar High School and with the young people, we felt that she would be better served as a manager of this program here. So we was able to promote her, which was great because once again, we're just trying to strengthen the community by working with individuals who are credible and trusted members of that community to serve that community. So that's why we encouraged. Unfortunately, she can't speak. She's in a dual role right now too. We're on several ANC meetings trying to participate and do the best we can to share and communicate our efforts of violence prevention in the city.
Thanks for that update. So it looks like Commissioner Niger, you've got a comment.
So I have a question. So is she kind of like then the liaison we would address concerns with if we have a specific ask?
Yes,
And
she's the one working directly with the team in terms of schedule. Most of her job will be consisted of interacting with, the ANC leaders, community organizations, building consensus around the program, just getting support, changing community norms. She'll be hosting community events, ensuring that the staff is completing all the required database entries that they need to complete. She will be actually trying to garner any support she can for the program in the community, building allies and getting trust from the community residents about this effort that we're taking. So she will be your main point of contact for the program. I will always participate in ANC meetings. I just like doing it. I have a problem. Like I said, I'm on 2 right now. So I just like participating. I want to know what's going on in the community because we can't help if we don't know all the facts. It's one thing to just work with the individuals who are involved in the gang and the violence lifestyle, but we need to hear the perspective of individuals who are also impacted as residents, who may have better inputs to help us serve the people that we're trying to serve. Who may say, hey, you may not want to hire this individual, things like that. And if we have strong relationships and ties, it really transcends the program success. So that's one of the reasons why we actively seek meetings like this. And I mean, it could be a meeting at a religious institution. We're looking, because we want to share the message, want to get the word out that violence is not acceptable, but also get support from the community to help us in our fight to help reduce violence in the community.
So my area is not part of that area, but what happens is there are certainly identified individuals that come into my area specifically on Kirby and Morgan Street and cause mayhem. So that 1D police have been involved, 3D police have been involved, and I would certainly welcome a dialogue with your team about this because the mayhem needs to stop.
Yes. Well, these are some of the things that we work with because it's not just the square that when I refer to, we have a process around the square in terms of meters and distance around the square where we have to cover. And if there's some issues with another community, we work in that community also. For instance, there's been some ongoing tension between 7th Street community and the Sursum Quarter community. I was up there yesterday and I'm going back tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to build relationships to help the team because we usually go in and try to work with the community and then the team will try to begin the mediation processes. So something like what's going on in Kirby, we would like to find out more about that so we can see what we can do to help, kind of calm that down,
Okay, great.
And if
Great.
you want to reach us, you can reach us directly, just sending an email to fatherfactor@gmail.com. That's the quickest way. But if you want to reach a specific person, then you can reach me, kevin.fields@fatherfactor.net. But that's why I say Father Factor is faster. At gmail.com. You can reach us. You can indicate who you would like to speak to, and we'll make sure you get connected with someone that can help you with your concern.
Great. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Okay, I'm seeing
one quick question, Dr. Fields. Thank you so much for coming to our ANC and introducing yourself. We're very welcoming of your group and the work that you're going to be doing in Surf Florida. Are you, so when the AG announced the expansion of this program, he listed Ivy City and Sursum Florida as part of the same cohort, which didn't make sense to me. I don't know if that was just, if I was just confused, or are you targeting both areas, that Ivy City in Ward 5 and Sursum Florida in Ward 6? And if so, how are you managing
Well,
both
yes,
of those?
Working in both communities. We initially started with Sursum Florida. I have a meeting tomorrow with the ANC, Miss ANC Rose in Ivy City tomorrow at 11. We're going to do a walkthrough, because what we wanted to do was map the community first and see where we needed to be first. And so we wanted to get the team together that would be working in Sursum Florida. But we also identified individuals who have ties in both communities, because there's no existing conflict between these neighborhoods. Just some individuals who lived in one, like in Sursum Florida, and moved to Ivy City. So they actually come back and forth. So that kind of works for this particular project, because there's no tension between these two neighborhoods. There is some distance, however, and we was mapping out what would be the best possible route to address those issues. But we have additional staff of 5 that we'll be bringing on. And that particular portion of the staff will be coming, some of those individuals will be coming from Ivy City, which 4 of them will be coming from the Ivy City community. And like I said, you know, with the possibility of them being able to work in both communities, because we want the staff to be able to float between both communities at ease. Okay. So those are some questions we asked on our panel interviews when we interviewed them, and when we did our pre-screen. That's when we normally take them through the community to see where they have their strongest ties and connections, and to observe those connections, just to see if, you know, because anyone can say, hey, I can help these people, I'm good, I can stop the young people from doing all this, but then we take them out in the community and they have no connection to the young people. They don't even know their names. The young people don't even speak to them. It's like, how can you actually interrupt? You're not credible. You're not a person that they respect or look up to someone who could actually get their ear, because the work we're doing, you got to think, these are individuals who will not want to freely sign up to be in our program. They're just not going to sign up to be a part of what we're doing. So you need credible individuals who can constantly go back and be able to get their ear. We could at least get their ear because we are credible. But if you're not credible, it's going to be hard to get an ear if I'm just a stranger walking up and saying, put the gun down. That's not going to work, you know. But if it's someone who they know maybe lived that lifestyle and they can see it's not living it anymore, then that kind of helps. So this is the way that we're going to address the issues in terms of working in both communities, is by having that. And we're working on developing a satellite site in our city, so we can have individuals that could just, you know, they will work in that community. But then we'll have some within the team that will work both communities, because we need at least a third of the team to be able to go back and forth from both communities, because our full complement of workers will consist of 12. We have 12 workers. Oh. We have 12. We have between interrupters and outreach workers and the managers and the site supervisors. So we'll be able to, you know, address these needs in both communities. And it's great that they're on great terms and there's not a feud going on between these two neighborhoods, because that would definitely exacerbate a lot of the issues. So we're glad, we're encouraged by that. It's just that our initial and main concern is Sursum Quarters in Ward 6, because we're anticipating an influx of a lot of residents and people that may come from other communities who've never lived in this community, and they're coming with whatever baggage or whatever, you know, I mean, we just, you know, whatever it is that they may come with, and we have to be prepared to help mediate those issues and concerns. So our goal was to make sure Surgeon Quarter was taken care of first. When we looked at the hierarchy of needs here, was to make sure that they get addressed first, because we wanted them on the ground. We want the team trained and prepared. When folks started moving in, it gives us opportunity to get, to be prepared for what's happening and not reactionary. We want to be more proactive. So that's why we took that approach. But we're starting the process with Ivy City tomorrow. The big process of identifying people and bringing them in, and we have to do a training for them also. And our plan is by the late July to have both teams fully functioning and on the streets and providing services.
Wonderful. Yeah, I guess my concern initially, and I think that you've addressed it. My concern was that having the expansion of Cure the Streets to Northwest 1, Sursum Corda, and Ivy City, they're not really contiguous. I was worried that we would be splitting resources too much, but it sounds like your team is staffing up to 12 individuals to serve these two sites, and that it sounds like we want to make sure that you have the resources that you need in order to adequately serve both communities. And it sounds like you do. Is that right? Or that you will?
Yes.
Once you're fully trained up, fully staffed up.
Working with what we have and trying to use our resources the best we can. We've been getting some support from OAG on this. We had some initial discussions about how this map should look in terms of the distance and what we're covering. And so we wanted to, like I said, we identified the greatest need is to make sure that we got our foothold and we're establishing surgeon quarters first, because we know that a lot of the individuals from Ivy City frequent this community as well. So we'll be able to touch and connect with them while we're establishing what's going on. The program in surgeon. So we wanted to make sure we get there. And after going on this walk with Commissioner Blackson, it was like, and looking at the needs, it was obvious that we needed to start here first, as opposed to starting in Ivy City. Not taking anything from Ivy City, but this was the greatest need was because then we looking at the market area, 4th Street. I wanted to make sure we could get our reach so that how would this actually look? So we was able to work that portion of it out. And now we're going into Ivy City with it. And so she's excited. The ANC and Ivy City's excited. We're going to meet tomorrow. We're going to walk and go over the community and look at some of the boundaries, how this work, because some of the individuals that's in Ivy City also intersect with Trinidad, which we have a neighboring Cure team in. So we're trying to look at how many of these individuals may be engaged in services with Trinidad and how would that look? So we're trying to work some of those things out. So we have a person from Trinidad that'll be going on a walk with us also on our Trinidad team, the NARC Cure the Streets team that's in that community, because we have to involve them because they're a neighboring Cure the Streets team. And they actually like rocks throw from Ivy City. So since the young people frequent their area, we have to involve them in any discussions, especially when we identify staff, resources and opportunities. So that helps in Ivy City because they'll have more support. And that's one of the reasons why we started with surgeon quarters first, because we have a team right there and we have a policy, which if incidents are happening within 100 meters of your location, then you turn to engage that. It's up to 1,000, I think now. But, so if something happened in Ivy City, like tonight, then we have a team that's there that has some connection. So they will be able to engage that situation and be able to work to bring about a mediation. So I know this sounds crazy, but it's some old structured stuff that we do. But at the same time, that's one of the reasons why we said, well, let's start with surgical quarters first, because the factors just suggested that, hey, we need to get this established first. And now we can go up and work with Ivy City and strengthen them, identify staff and move from there.
Well, that's great. We're thankful to have these resources in our community.
What is Miss Green's email?
It's Fiera. That's FIERRA .green. That's GREEN at fatherfactor.net.
Okay,
great. And we do have at least one community question. Jean, welcome back.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to welcome Father Factor into Sursum Corda especially. I feel like this is a neighborhood that has been absent and present at the same time for so many years. And I'm wondering if you can talk about whether you've connected with, I'm sorry, I'm Jean from Councilmember Allen, Ward 6. And I really want to know if there are folks that you have already sort of figured out, these are the folks that need help, or these are the folks that need attention, and how do you wrap around what they need and how they need it, and what are the real issues that you're looking at, in terms of the folks returning to Sursum Corda that you haven't met yet. Also, obviously you don't know that, but the folks that are already there that are still connected to the community, that are hanging out there, and what are you seeing there?
That was one of the main reasons why we said let's start here first, was because you can kind of tell it's going to be, you don't want the issue of turf war to start, like, hey, this is my community, and then you have individuals that may move here from other communities and say, well, this is my community because I live here. And you have some individuals who don't live in the neighborhood who say, well, I've always hung around, I hanged out here, this is my community, and we'll have some beefs that may kick up because of that. So what we want to do is make sure we have some people on the ground. We do have ideas of the people that we need to work with. That's why when the team that we hire, they have a strong connection to the people in the community, and they can identify those individuals. Like I said, the task of getting them to want to work and address their issues and concerns, that is a tedious process. It takes a while. It's not something like, because we may walk up to someone and try to connect with them, and they say, hey man, get out my face, I don't want to hear that.
Right.
And they won't say it like that nice, you'll hear a couple of other expletives that come out. So it's our job to use those individuals. At least we won't get as many expletives. It'll be more of, they might duck the person, they might avoid them, they might try to blow them off, but we won't get all of that expletive stuff. But the goal is to identify what some of their issues are. We want to engage some of these young folks into some entrepreneurship opportunities. We met with a real estate agent in the community. He has homes on Pierce Street, K Street, New York Avenue, in the Trinidad community. He has over 100 homes in the city that he's just buying all his property. But he's a young guy. He's 31 years old. And he once spent some time on the wrong side of the track, so he understands what this is like. And so he wants to come in and teach real estate, stuff like that. We want to really help them to become self-sufficient, as opposed to, hey, we just want to stop this beef. I mean, that sounds great, but if we want them to put something down, we got to give them something else to pick up that's going to help them remain successful. Because whether we know it or not, I mean, we may not look at that as being successful, but when they have that gun and that power and they're engaging in those activities, that's successful to them. We got to take that and say, let's teach you what success is this way. Because if we don't have success doing this, it's easy for them to pick up a gun and jump in front of someone's car and take their vehicle, or it's easy to go shoot at someone in another neighborhood, because what we're noticing is a lot of these beefs, they're social. They're social media driven beefs. They virtual. Right. Everything is virtual these days. And that's why we have to keep our ears to the social media scene and stuff like that. So we identify a lot of those issues. We find that a lot of these young brothers and sisters that's engaged in this lifestyle, a lot of them are very intelligent and they had a capacity for change, but there's no model, there's no mentor, there's no guides to help them. And we hoping through our initiative, and we've seen it in other communities because we're working in Simple City, which we only had one shooting in a year in that community, which is, it's a miracle. But we're seeing the fruits of this work when we're consistently on the ground and we're consistently engaging, that we can help steer them and turn them around and get them involved in some productive, life-changing activities. Like I said, we just don't want to say, hey, get a job. We don't want to do that. We want to explore all options, training, entrepreneurship, anything that's going to help them become self-sufficient, because we have to teach them how to compete in this society, how to be able to live in this society. And that's going to require in some more economic increase, because maybe just a basic job won't be enough. I mean, it's good to start, but That's why we want to empower people from the community with a working salary and opportunities to be models for these individuals. Because when they see them out there engaging in this and they know the lifestyle that some of these people were living, this is just a caveat to help promote what we're trying to do. And that's where the outreach workers, they'll be able to come in.
Sorry,
Okay.
we're at the end of our agenda time, and we do have a large number of items and additional individuals who have been given specific times that they're going to be on the calendar. So if you'd like to come back at a future meeting, feel free to reach out to us. And also, I don't know if you can help us figure out why the U.S. Attorney General's office didn't arrive at the meeting this evening, but if there's anything you can tell to your partners there. I really appreciate your attendance here at the meeting. I'm glad you were able to come and speak to us.
Okay.
Thanks again for your time this evening.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you for that. And then on to item 10, which is support for a map amendment for DC LN6 LLC. Commissioner Nigro.
Hooray.
Nice.
It's an exciting, hopefully future not to be blighted project at the corner of 6th and L. So this is concerning 1100 6th Street Northwest. This is the prominent property, as I said, at 6th and L Street, the historic brick property. The owner is coming before us tonight to seek support for the map amendment, changing the zoning from RA to MU8. And let me just do an education. Michael, do you mind? Just so people understand what we're voting on, right? I'm going to talk about this for a second.
Oh, sorry, no, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so just for people to understand, so the R2 zone is what RA2 zone is what it is now, is let's see, it provides areas developed with predominantly moderate density residential. So this is a residential structure, permits flexibility for design by permitting all types of urban residential development, et cetera, permit residential uses. And then the R8, wait, I'm sorry, M8, where is it here? MU8. So the MU8 zones provide for mixed use development that permits a broad range of commercial, institution, and multiple dwelling unit residential development at varying densities. It focuses on employment, uptown location, office, retail, and being located in or near central employment area on arterial streets, uptown and regional centers. So what the owner, are they on yet? Ed?
We do have
so we're gonna, so the goal for this project is what they have told me numerous times, is that this will be a corporate housing project. This corner has been blighted for decades, and so we it's going to be great if they finish it and if it all goes through. So let me get them to do their presentation.
And I believe we also have the property owners.
Yes, I saw
Biden. All right.
I don't think, is Sarah on here? No.
No, we have.
Hi, this is Alex Wilson.
Oh, hey, Alex.
Yeah, from Sullivan and Barrows. Hi.
Okay.
And I'm here with Aiden, and then we
Hi,
should
Aiden.
have our architect Robert on, although we might not need him. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if I can do that. I'll just go ahead and explain. So thank you for introducing us. We're here to ask for a support for a map amendment to rezone the property from RA2 to MU8. The criteria for the map amendment approval is that it not be inconsistent with a comprehensive plan and future land use map. The future land use map identifies specific pieces of land and areas in the district that the Office of Planning, Zoning Commission, and Council have deemed appropriate to upzone. And so these areas are eligible for a zone change. And in this case, this property is eligible for a zone change. It was previously designated as residential medium density. And with the 2020 comp plan changes, it's now designated on the future land use map as both residential medium density and commercial medium density. So this particular property was identified as a good candidate for upzoning. And that is why we're seeking to change it from a residential only zone to a mixed use zone, the MU8 zone. I did see in the chat, there was a question from someone about affordable housing and community benefits. So I'll just respond to that now. So we are proposing corporate housing. It's a lodging use. It's not residential, but there could still certainly be an IZ component if these were ever converted to residential rentals or condos. I don't think something like that would be out of the question in the future. These are going to be individual units. And the IZ plus designation that occurs during the map amendment process requires 20% affordable housing, and that will run with the property. So any residential conversion or future residential use on the site would have to provide at least 20% affordable units. It is a relatively blighted property. We are not displacing any residential uses. This property is not providing any current benefits. And the corporate housing use will generate local employment and will attract more people who are likely to visit retail stores. There's been opportunity for residential development for years here, as it's the RA2 zone, and that hasn't happened. I think it's logical to assume that the lack of development on a great site and location is one of the reasons it was specifically identified by the comp plan and future land use map as a site that could benefit from additional density. So it could be redeveloped. And I'm looking for Robert here to see if he can share the current location. Do you see Robert Kunsel, our architects on?
Yeah,
Can you
he's on.
bump him up?
If you can throw it on the screen, that'd be great. Hi, Robert.
Yeah. Hi, Robert. Would you mind sharing the screen, your presentation while I'm finishing up here? Thank you. And so I'll also note, in most map amendment cases, we just present the requested zone change and don't have plans because the map amendment review process doesn't really contemplate a certain plan associated with the upzoning. It's not a PUD. But in this case, we did develop plans. We've shown them to this ANC before, since this is subject to HPRB. And I believe the historic portion of this already received support from this ANC. And this map amendment just allows us to execute the plan that we've shown you here for the historic portion and no more, since HPRB is the limiting factor. So with that, I'll stop talking and I'll turn it over to Aiden and Robert to refresh your memory on the overall project.
Yes, Robert, I think you tell us what kind of a building we're proposing to put up there. And I think Rochelle explained that the business plan calls for a corporate housing, and that is the optimum use for the property here because it's not large enough to be a full service hotel. So, turning into condos, this is a relatively high traffic area. And Rochelle, if I remember correctly, the neighbors were not so enthusiastic about having condos and having more parking issues around here.
Well, yeah, so the resident, there's a, it's a catch-22 with these type of projects. So it's, we want these blighted corners and to move forward clearly because it has been decades. The concern, the battle cry is always with these slightly larger projects is parking. And that is, so for this to be corporate housing, this would that kind of would take away that concern, because that is consistently talked about when new developments of a larger, this is, what is it, 70? How many units again?
Currently 70 units. Yes.
Yeah, that it was initially concerned about the parking, which there is basically none in our area anymore for street parking.
Yeah. And this will come with 10 parking spots and its own loading dock. Hopefully that's what's provided for in the zoning. Robert, why don't you tell us about the building that we hope to build here?
Sure. So I know we've all seen this, so I'll skip over some of the additional context so we can get straight to the meat of the presentation here. So this is some of the context. Our site here is outlined in white, with the much taller buildings to the south here, and then the 3-story townhouses to the north, as well as the west and east. The existing state of the building, the non-historic bay here will be removed to restore this building to its original glory. Some of those details, a little bit more context. I know we're a little tight on time. The elevations along 6th Street and L Street here. And then jumping into the plans here. So as I had mentioned, we have 10 spaces down below here, as well as an amenity gym for the building. And then on the ground floor here, we'll have retail in the existing historic building, and then units on the ground floor, loading in the back, and then public amenity space. Units going up. That's the 2nd floor. Here we have the 3rd floor. So we'll have units in the existing building. And then the 4th floor is where we'll have a little bit more units. And then this tower portion here, which is only 7 stories, will be set back nearly 40 feet from the property line behind the 4-story building. So now we're above the historic building, and then typical floors for the 6th and 7th floor. And just a mechanical penthouse here. So jumping into the elevations quickly, what we're doing here is the intent is to design a simple building that will sit in with the existing historic context quietly, and then allow for a transition from 4 stories to 7 stories, and then crossing the street to the 11-story building to our south, which you can see here on the left. And then the L Street elevation here. So a little bit larger scale. Again, from the smaller scale townhouses up to the larger scale, same thing architecturally that we're intending to do here. And then the facade on the west here. So just continuing that larger scale language on the larger portion of the building.
And one quick recent development is that I think it was about a week ago, we had a presentation to the Historic Preservation Board. They approved it from a mapping, massing and density perspective. They would like to work with Robert in terms of some of the architectural features of the building.
Yeah, in terms of a slight simplification of here, well, I'll just mention here, you can see this nearly 40-foot setback from the property line, and then a similar section. So what they're proposing is a simplification of this portion here, the kind of gray connector piece, so that it's not quite as loud, and it allows the historic building to stand out a little bit more. So here's just some of the materials that are being proposed, sorry, which would be primarily brick building here, so that it fits in with the historic context.
Yeah, we're kind of like walking away a little bit from the typical, modern looking panel and picture window style of the modern design. So we're doing something little transitory so that, as Robert said, this is the connecting corner between residential and commercial. So it's a transition point.
Okay.
Hey, can I ask a question here? So this is me learning in public. You guys are talking about corporate housing. Are we talking about a hotel here? Like what's actually the building? What's going to be the function of this building?
Well, the function of the building is that these units come in with their own kitchen, washer, dryer. So they allow for the guests to stay longer. From a zoning perspective, I think Alex could explain better, but the distinction is that if it is a corporate housing, it's a lodging facility. So people have to book their stays 30 days, no longer than 30 days. And if it is longer than that, it's residential rentals. So that's the limitation on this. And in terms of why this is a corporate housing, not a hotel, as I explained before, like I can repeat it again. Typically hotels, like even a boutique hotel like the Roxy in our neighborhood is a Marriott property, which is, which was welcomed as one of the hip hotels. So even for those kind of boutique hip hotels like Roxy, Marriott or Hilton, they require 100 keys. And not only 100 keys, but they also require significant amount of space for storage and service. The reason for that is, on a property like that, typical stay will average around 2 to 3 days. So they'll have to change a lot of bedding and etc. So for our property, for the space that we have, it wouldn't make sense for us or for anyone operating the site to have that frequent guest changes. So we're basically aiming at looking at people who are temporarily here, but on a work assignment, etc. So that will give us the best yield for this property. So in a way, it is not a promise that we're making because Rochelle is on our case. It is what we're thinking. It is what the money man says. As Alex explained before, who knows what happens, maybe there's another COVID wave or something, and some future owner of the property may decide to, basically rent them as residential rentals or sell them as condos. If such a change happens, the IIZ requirement kicks in, and 20% of the units have to be offered for sale or rent on an affordable basis.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners before I see we have a question in the Shana?
Just a comment, reiterate that the commission is considering the proposed map amendment and not the design or the intended use of the property. So just wanted to say that so we're not talking this type of lodging use is allowed under MU8 as is residential, as is other types of retail, but we're just looking at whether or not the map amendment is consistent with the future land use map and the comprehensive plan.
Correct. Okay. I think we
So,
have a
sorry,
community question.
real quick, Rochelle. So does that mean that we are not considering supporting set down?
No, we said that at the our little committee meeting that we're going to vote on that.
We're actually out of time to comment on set down. It has to be within 30 days of notice to the ANC.
No, the deadline is the 10th.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
We're not.
Okay.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
All right.
Any other comments from
We have a
commissioners?
committee. Oh.
Okay, so we have three comments in the Q&A, but also a hand up. So we'll go ahead and
She has her hand up.
so we'll go ahead and allow
Barry.
Sheena to speak. Hi there.
Hi, Shana.
Barry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yep.
Hi, okay. Yeah, so this building, it was purchased as a residential property. You allowing it to be increased for density changes the neighborhood. I've been to the property, I've seen it, I know it very well, just as probably the architect and everyone else involved does. And that would dramatically change it. It was originally purchased for 30 to 40 units. You're doubling the size of it. There's no parking. This neighborhood also already suffers from a parking shortage, and there's no affordable housing offered in this. Residents have been displaced at a huge rate in this neighborhood along 6th Street, 5th Street. There's a project on 6th Street going up across from the churches that hasn't even been touched for months. That's supposed to include residential housing, but all through the pandemic hasn't even been touched since 2019. I've lived here since 2005 and I've seen residents being displaced. And you're allowing a project to come here, double its size from when it was originally purchased and not include any affordable housing. What does that say about keeping the neighborhood, people in the neighborhood and not displacing them? It seems like a really disingenuous effort from, it doesn't feel like residents are being advocated for. How are you displacing so many people? Because even though that property is blighted, that is an opportunity for someone in the neighborhood to create affordable housing. And when you take away and you double the density and take away that opportunity or making that a requirement for something that is already zoned as residential, you take away how, and I think someone responded that in the future, it could be used as residential property. So are you telling me a project that has not been started would possibly in 100 years, be available for residential zoning? That's not something that benefits current residents or helps with the housing shortage.
So, Ms. Berry, let me just first address you had talked about what's called 1200 Fifth Street, just really quick, and I can talk to you at length offline about that project. That is currently caught up in a court case between the developer and several churches in the neighborhood. That's why that has not moved forward. And then there is about 12% that's going to be affordable housing. And at that time, the commission, not the current commissioners, but the previous commissioners, were very supportive of that high density project in terms of the amount of affordable housing. But definitely we can talk at length about that.
Yeah,
okay?
I would definitely like to stay on topic with what I'm speaking.
Oh yeah.
I thank you for addressing that, because that has been a concern of mine. I feel like when I came into this neighborhood, the demographics have dramatically changed, and I see that residents who have lived here all of their lives are being displaced. And I do not believe that this is an effort to keep that up. I feel like the city is often complicit in that. And I know that this policy has not been passed yet. If it hits the mayor's desk, she may or may not be in office. So I do not think that it's fair that you guys vote on something or support something that has not been passed by DC. I think that if more residents of the neighborhood knew what the possibility was for corporate housing for people who are not giving back to the community, they would not be in support for it. And I think that it would be important that as ANC representatives of this neighborhood, that you get the opinion of residents in the community, like myself and other people I've spoken to about this issue, so that you can actually stand up for the constituents that you represent and not just offer your own opinion about what might bring money into the city.
Okay.
Thank you for your feedback, Ms. Berry.
You're welcome.
We have another question from the community. Rochelle.
Can I give her my phone number?
Yes, you can, of course.
Call me. So I am all in about the developers and current and past. So 202-236-3329. Now am I always talking with this owner, right? I'm talking with the developer of 1200 Fifth Street all the time, even though it's in Frank's area. So give me a call.
Okay, and now allowing a visitor on the phone to ask a question. Talking is permitted. You have to unmute yourself. I think I can do it
can you
for
hear me?
Yep. Welcome.
Hey,
please introduce
just
yourself.
a quick question
Did we lose you?
sorry, having a little trouble with the keypad interface here. So question for the developer. I live in Patrick's district, just around the corner. Where would these individuals likely live and consume housing if this were not built? Thank you.
Well, first let me explain that the previous owner from which we purchased this property was Douglas Development. So Douglas Development obviously sold this to us, fully knowing what this property future land use map was, and this map amendment was part of the sale potential. It wasn't that long ago. So there is no such thing as this being bought residential and we're turning around and trying to make it something else. I also point out that Douglas Development itself had tried to develop this property several times. Under the previous zoning, they got a PUD back in mid-2010s. They didn't find it profitable to develop the property. Then more recently in 2015, they commissioned a study to utilize the site as a fully commercial site. They shopped that around, they evaluated that, and that didn't work out for them. So really the reason that we were involved in our selling point was that we know how to deal with historic properties. We understand the historic context of DC. And we have the patience to work with the HPRB and other civic organizations to, build this a property that's going to, as I said, would give the space the best use. And, so in terms of this, is I think we are like too small to make the big policy for DC, but as I understand the rules, DC is saying that it's equally good to have a residential use and have IZ, affordable housing, as it is to have it for a commercial use and generate more economic activity in the city. And I should also point out that this location is as downtown as it gets. It's a block from the convention center. It is not like a quaint neighborhood that we're suddenly coming in and putting up a big building. So this is a commercial area, and it will actually benefit the residents in the neighborhood who need the kind of jobs that this site will offer. So it will offer jobs for people who want to work in the cafe, restaurant, retail area, as well as the hotel, the operations of the corporate housing.
So let me just tag on to what Aiden just said. So as my terms as commissioner, my 10 years or whatever, how many years it is, Douglas Development could not pull this off. And I don't think they really cared to be honest. So I was actually pleased that someone actually bought it, because it's very small. It's a small property for Douglas Development, and they was going nowhere real fast. So so the positive aspect of this entire project is that actually someone bought it and will finish it, right, Mr. Owner?
Yeah, absolutely. We already.
I don't need another blighted project. I don't need to call DCRA every day with all this other stuff. You need to finish it.
Yep.
I say this every time,
absolutely.
and I say this every time, and I know for the constituent this got on there, a big concern, guess what, is finishing it. I am done with these developers that don't finish it, and then I've got crime and drugs and poop and all this other stuff. Got it? I'm
Yep.
done with it.
Okay, so moving on, we have our community feedback, we have our commissioners' questions. Do we have an item before us? And just for Karen's notes, I believe all of our commissioners have joined us. We are now at 7.
Hey, Rochelle, real quick, how long did you say the property's been blighted for?
Oh, it's been decades. I mean, I don't know, Frank, you lived here a lot longer than I have. Would you say, I mean, it's been at least 20 years.
Yeah, I've been in DC 30 years, and that block has been vacant for the 30 years I've been in DC.
Yeah.
All 30 years have been empty.
And it's a shell. And so it's a shell that they're, and if that's it. And
I think it was a law office before. It was a law office before I moved to DC, based on the letters that was above the doors. But other than that, there was no evidence of life on that corner for the past 33 years.
Except for unlawful behavior.
Yeah, actually, you're right. It was a law office where Thurgood Marshall actually practiced law, and in recognition of that, we will have a plaque placed on the property.
And I would just also note that corporate housing like this may actually relieve pressure on the community, that maybe other landlords who own properties may consider renting their spaces out for corporate rentals, and having a more formalized corporate rental place nearby may actually soak up some of that and create some additional spaces for more affordable housing in the community. So it's all coming from the same place, and whether or not, if you've got some corporate housing here, that may relieve pressure elsewhere. So I think, it's not unaligned with those policies.
Can I say something? Yeah,
sure.
So I just want to briefly address Ms. Sheena Berry's comment. I'm deeply sympathetic and in violent agreement with her statement that our community is in dire need for additional housing, including additional affordable housing, such as the IZ plus units that might be created through the zoning map amendment if it was developed as a residential property. I do think that this type of lodging use is perhaps one of the worst uses we can see for this type of property. However, using the ANC's consideration of a zoning map amendment as an avenue to try and influence the future use of a property is very inappropriate. So I'm going to be considering this application purely based on the zoning before us without consideration of the future use. I would be considering, I need to consider it the same way whether the developer was coming to us with a proposal for 100% affordable housing or an office building, as long as it's consistent with the FLUM, the future land use map, and consistent with the uses authorized by the proposed zone. I think that the ANC, I think that we need to focus on that, despite our individual feelings of the merits of the use, which is authorized by right under the zone that's being applied for. So I just wanted to say that I'm very sensitive to the fact that we're missing a big opportunity here, developing it the way that it is, but that's not the issue that we're specifically debating tonight, which is the zoning map amendment, which is separate from the use.
Okay, so.
Okay. Thank
Commissioner
you,
Nigro.
Alex. All right, so I'm going to do a motion. Any more questions before I make the motion? Two motions.
I am asking you to make the motions.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna make two motions. So I move that ANC 6E support the request for the map amendment changing for 1100 6th Street Northwest with the zoning change from RA-2 to MU-8, and we communicate this to the zoning office.
I'm second.
Okay, all in favor?
Sorry, who was the second?
You said that.
I asked, do we have?
Oh.
I thought you said I second.
Yeah,
No, I'm staying out of all this. Who's seconding?
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Blackson, Commissioner Blackson. Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
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 Okay, I'm seeing unanimous 7. Thank you very much for your votes.
Okay, I have to do the set down one.
Sure.
And thank you very much as well. So we'll be a worthy developer.
You'll be talking to me. Okay. Okay, I move that ANC 6E support the set down for 1100 6th Street Northwest, and we communicate this to the zoning office.
And is there a second? If someone has to second this, and we're going to move. Okay, Denise, Commissioner Blackson, seconds. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and another unanimous one. All right, thank you very much.
Did Frank
I
vote?
did.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, great. Thank you for your report out from the zoning committee, Commissioner Nigro. On to the ABRA committee. Do we have Mr. Padro promoting to panelist? Welcome. Okay. Well, did that not work? Let's try it again. No, it did work. Okay, let's see. Thank you for your patience, everyone. There is former Commissioner Padro.
Yep, sorry it took a minute to switch over.
Alex, welcome.
Yes, good evening, everyone. We have a number of renewals this evening, no applications for new licenses. The first item on the agenda is Bowtie Shaw, which is the Bowtie Restaurant at 1550 7th Street Northwest. So do we have Ralph Rabham or another representative from Bowtie?
We had Ralph on the call earlier. Oh, you popped up to the top. Okay.
All right.
There we go.
While we get him over, I'll go ahead and just provide the background on this particular license. This is a Class C restaurant license, as are the rest of the licenses that we're reviewing the request for support for renewals this evening. Hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 a.m., hours of sidewalk cafe operation, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. The only items on the investigative history in the previous 2-year renewal period were a no ABC manager on duty, which Mr. Brevin can explain, and then administrative paperwork late filing. So the committee was pleased to be able to recommend that the commission support the renewal of this license.
Thanks. Mr. Brabham, do you want to make any comments, or should we just?
Nothing specific. Happy to answer any questions. Nothing specific to say. I explained to the committee our manager issue was again, not to, like everyone, blame the pandemic, but was related to our manager living in Virginia and having difficulty getting his renewal via ABRA back in whenever that was. But otherwise, yeah, we aim to be a community partner and a community asset and point of pride, and appreciate the commission's support.
Thanks so much for that. Any questions from the commissioners? Any feedback from the community? Okay. Hearing none. So, Alex.
This is in your single district, Mr. Chairman. So
It is. So I will go ahead and move that ANC 6C support the renewal of the Class C restaurant license for Bow Tie located at 550 7th Street Northwest, and communicate that support to ABRA if I get a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Denise was first, moved and seconded. Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And do we get Frank on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 7 out of 7. Thank you. And let's just jump to 13 real quick while we've got Ralph on the phone already.
certainly. This license is also in the name of Bow Tie, but that's the original location of Bow Tie. It's actually currently trading as BKK Cook Shop. That's located at 1700 New Jersey Avenue Northwest. Hours of operation Sunday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Hours of sidewalk cafe operation, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. And the only investigative history was again a late filing on a quarterly statement. So the committee is pleased to recommend to the commission approval support for the renewal of this license.
Thank you so much. And then Ralph, if there's anything else you want to say about your other location here in the neighborhood?
Thank you. Nothing else to add, but we intend to keep on keeping on as we have been, and hope that our neighbors and community love us. That's okay.
Thanks so much. And as such, I will move that ANC 6C support the renewal of the Class C restaurant license for BKK Cook Shop at 1700 New Jersey Avenue Northwest, and communicate that support to ABRA if I could get a second.
I'll second.
That was Alex Lopez, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm not seeing Kevin. Kevin, are you saying aye? Okay, there we go. It's unanimous, 7 votes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ralph, and I'll see you in a couple of years next time.
Thank you.
Great, sure thing. I have 12 Oyster, Rob and Tyler. Do we have Rob or Tyler on the line?
So while we're checking for the representative, this is Oyster, which incidentally is nominated for a James Beard Award. So that's like the Academy Award of Restaurants as the best restaurant in America. So that they are finalists. That is a huge honor to have them in our community. So the restaurant is located at 1440 8th Street Northwest at the City Market development. Hours of operation are Sunday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 12 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. Hours of summer garden operation, 9 a.m. to 12 a.m., 7 days a week. And their only investigative history item is also a late filing on a quarterly statement. So no negative impacts related to the community. And the committee recommends that the commission support the renewal of the license.
Thanks so much. And I'm not seeing any representatives from them. And also just real quick, Commissioner Lopez, I apologize. I stole your thunder in moving BKK. I was in the wrong mindset here on the agenda. So thanks for your.
That's fine.
Thanks for that. So seeing no representative, do we have any comments from the commissioners or community? Hearing none, I will move that the ANC 6E support our renewal for the Class C restaurant license for Oyster located at 1448th Street Northwest, and communicate that support to Abra. If I could get a second.
Second.
All right, second from Commissioner Parlay. Discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And it's unanimous. Okay, thank you so much for Oyster. On to item 14. And also, Alex Padro, if we could do both of Tessa's items back to back, thank you. And let me
Absolutely. So next up is a big joint. License name is Outpost DC, located at 430 K Street Northwest. Hours of operation 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Thursday, Sunday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. Hours of sidewalk cafe operation, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Investigative history. The only item in the previous 2 years was, again, one of those late filings of a quarterly statement. So the committee was pleased to vote to recommend that the commission support the renewal of this license. And you have Representative Tessa Velasquez.
Any statements you'd like to make, Ms. Velasquez?
It was a clerical error on that filing. You'll see the same for La Betty as well. So lesson learned with being a little bit better with the Google Calendar at times. And we are just so honored to be part of the community. Bake Joint is turning 7 this year, and we appreciate the commission support. Thank you so much.
And I sent an email around, as I often do with these, to ask residents for their feedback, any concerns. Didn't get any back for this one. So I am ready to make a motion if you guys are ready. I move that ANC 6E support the renewal of Class C restaurant license for a bake joint located at 430 K Street Northwest, and communicate that support to Abra.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Denise seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, vote signifying saying aye.
Aye.
Did I see Frank's hand? One abstention.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And under the same ownership is La Betty. Applicant licensee name is BW3 LLC, located 420 K Street Northwest. Hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days a week. Hours of sidewalk cafe operation 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Again, the only investigative history was a late filing of a quarterly report. The committee recommends that the commission support this license.
Any feedback from the commissioner or from the applicant? Community or other commissioners?
Same story here. No resident feedback on this one. So I will move that ANC 6E support the renewal of Class C restaurant license for La Betty, located at 420 K Street Northwest, and communicate that support to Abra.
And is there a second?
Second.
From Denise. Okay, thanks. Further discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, we've got unanimous on that one. All right, thank you. Back up to item 15.
Next
Thanks, Tessa,
item,
for joining us.
this is
Thank you, everyone.
Bartaco, Mount Vernon. License name is Bartaco, Washington, D.C. Located at 1025 5th Street Northwest. Hours of operation are 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days. Hours of summer garden operation, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days. In terms of investigative history, they have no violations. So the committee was pleased to recommend that the commission support the license renewal for Bartaco.
Thanks so much. Any feedback from the license or the applicant?
No feedback. We're 6 months in and glad to be a part of the neighborhood.
Great. And from Commissioner Parley?
So this one, I got a sort of weird piece of resident feedback. A resident asked me if other residents had complained about noise here, and then when I asked for further details, I didn't get any further details. So the question kind of confused me. But this was a resident which lives in the building sort of above Bartaco. So I would just ask the applicant, just be cognizant of the noise and do your best. It's hard for me to hold it against you because I lack detail there, but just want to flag that and make sure you guys are tracking on it.
We've heard nothing. We haven't received one piece of feedback, and we spent several $100,000 in soundproofing and then followed all of the hourly rules. So I would be surprised if that was to recur, but we'll certainly take it into account. If we hear anything more, we'll certainly react accordingly.
Okay. Hey, thanks.
Yeah, of course. And let me know if you hear anything more, please.
I will, for sure. Am I good to make the motion, Michael?
Just opportunity for any community feedback or commissioners? Seeing none, okay, go for it.
I move that ANC 6E support the renewal of Class C restaurant license for Bartaco Mount Vernon, located at 1025 5th Street Northwest, and communicate that support to ABRA.
Is there a second? Commissioner Blackson again with a second. In discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And it's unanimous. Thank you very much. And on to the next item, 16, Delana.
Delania, license name is Uno at 5th and K, and Delana, DC. Located at 476 K Street Northwest. Hours of operation 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. Fridays, 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. Fridays, and 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. Saturdays. Hours of sidewalk cafe operation 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days. And the only item on their investigative history is, again, missed late filing of the quarterly statement. So the committee was pleased to be able to recommend that the commission support this license renewal.
Okay, welcome, Matt. Do you have any comments for us here this evening?
Pretty well. We just wanted to say thanks again for the ANC for their continued support throughout this process. When we expanded the Sidewalk Cafe, we just really appreciate the support and we're happy to be part of the community.
Great. And any feedback from commissioners?
Just wanted to say, didn't get any resident feedback, but just wanted to say this is kind of a good news story. This ANC voted on a settlement agreement for these guys sometime last year. And at the time, there was a lot of concern that Delana's noise and stuff would spill into the sidewalk in an unreasonable way with their door open and everything like that. But that hasn't come to fruition, and it's just good to, like, we got it, seem to get it right there. So happy to see that. Nothing further from me.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Sure, I move that. Sorry, was that someone saying something?
No, I'm sorry, my computer is beeping from the emails.
Okay, no worries. I move that ANC 6E support the renewal of Class C restaurant license for Delana located at 476 K Street Northwest and communicate that support to Abra.
Is there a second? Okay, Kevin Rogers for the second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and we've got a unanimous. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, on to item 18.
And our final ABC item for this evening is RASA. License name is RASA MVT, located at 485 K Street Northwest. Hours of operation 7 a.m. to midnight, 7 days. Hours of sidewalk cafe operation 8 a.m. to midnight, 7 days. And in terms of their investigative history, they had one instance in the past 2 years of no ABC manager on duty, which I'm sure Mr. Ruiz, the representative, would be happy to address for the committee. The commission, the committee was pleased with the response and recommends that the full commission support this license.
Oh, sorry, you caught me mid-yawn. Mr. Ruiz, do you have any feedback for the commission?
Excuse me. No, as I mentioned last week, we've changed accounting firms to make sure that that never happens again. And we thank you for your support. And I know Sahil and Raul are more than ecstatic to be a part of the community. It's a wonderful location, and we look to continue doing good business in 6E.
Thanks for that. Patrick?
Similarly, no negative resident feedback on this one, which is a good thing. So I'm ready to make the motion whenever you're ready.
I don't think there's anyone else on the call to make any. No, I'm just kidding. We are getting pretty down there. I think if anyone was going to make any comments, they would have raised their hand already. So go for it.
I move that ANC 6E support the renewal of Class C restaurant license for Rasa located at 485 K Street Northwest and communicate that support to Abra.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Rochelle, Commissioner Nigro seconds, and then any discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
That looks like it's unanimous. Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much for your service this evening, Mr. Padra.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Onward to item 19, Mr. Lopez.
Okay, great.
Lopez.
One moment. Item 19. Okay, consideration or support for the application for an unenclosed sidewalk cafe at 508 K Street Northwest, Stellina Pizzeria in 6005. Let me see if we have representatives from the applicant.
Who are you looking for? Or if your applicant is on the call, please raise your hand or *9.
Will be
I think, is it Luis?
Luis. Yeah.
I'm not seeing anyone on the call.
Are we ahead of schedule? No, we're about on schedule, right?
We are behind schedule.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and introduce the cafe plans. This is Stellina Pizzeria, which has opened for business. They're applying for an unenclosed sidewalk cafe. The transportation committee met last Tuesday. However, we did not have a quorum. So I was able to give some feedback that I had received from Commissioner Parley. And in response to that feedback, the applicant made some modifications that I'll talk about. So this is on K Street, east of 5th Street. And since they initially submitted their application, they've created this pedestrian walkway, which is consistent with a lot of all the sidewalk cafes on the south side of K Street and the north side. Another issue that we discussed at the TAC last week is they agreed to move the seating here at the sidewalk cafe back from the street 4 feet, because there's an alleyway here. I was concerned, and Commissioner Parley was concerned that pedestrians coming down this strip would need to step down off the curb if the sidewalk cafe came up flush here. And we wanted to avoid a situation where there were any mobility barriers created by the sidewalk cafe. So in response to that, they agreed to move these 4 tops, is that what they're called? This table back 4 feet from the street, as well as move these tables 4 feet back from the street. Based on this modification, I personally think that this is a good sidewalk cafe plan. Like I said, we didn't have a quorum last week, so I get to say, as you know, personally as a commissioner, I think that this sidewalk cafe plan is acceptable. Patrick, do you have anything to add?
No, I echo the sentiment that I think it's a good one, and I feel as though they were responsive to some of the accessibility questions that we had raised. And thanks, Alex, for taking the lead on this one, because I had a crazy conflict on the day of the meeting, but I think we're in a good place on this.
Great. Any additional feedback from other commissioners? Any feedback from the community? And hearing none, Mr. Lopez?
All right.
Motion.
So Commissioner Parley, defer to you if you want to make the motion.
Sure, happy to. I did also notice actually that Antonio is on the line, and I believe he's the owner of.
Okay, yeah.
Just to the extent that he wants to say anything.
Alex, could you bring your screen down?
Oh yeah.
Just so we can see the votes and so we can see Antonio if he's.
I had a question. I was trying to get on.
Okay, sure.
Okay, how far is they want to push the seating area up some, or they're trying to push it back? Because it does interfere with the sidewalk. You have a pole there, right? A sign that you have to go around, and people in wheelchairs, right, have to struggle through that. So how far they want to push it back?
Yeah, okay, so this, so there's 2 sections of the sidewalk. There's the brick section here, and you're right, there's a pole here.
Alex, could you zoom in on that? It's actually, you know.
Oh, it's too small. Okay.
Yeah, like just keep going until we're like, it kind of fills the screen. Yeah, there we go.
Is that better? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Great. So there's the brick section, and you're right, there's a step down, there's a curb here. And then there's this kind of tile section. The initial, or the sidewalk cafe that was presented at the TAC last week had the barrier for the sidewalk cafe coming all the way up to the edge of the brick here, which, you know, it would make this a very tight squeeze between the barrier and the light post, and there would be this step down. So what they did, they revised their design and they moved the sidewalk cafe back 4 feet. So it's going to be 4 feet. It's going to be around, probably around like here. So pedestrians will be able to come up into this white tile area and cross the alleyway at grade without having to make any steps down.
So
does that answer your question?
Alex, transportation gonna do something about the curb, right? Like put a little slight ramp in there, right, to make it even? Because when I come down that street, I have to mess around and come over and get on the other side of the curb. This little bump in both areas right cause a problem.
So there's a,
Yes, right in there.
it's
That
also
causes a
over
problem.
here. You have to come over and then you have to come diagonally, right? Because this planter box is a diagonal. You have to come diagonal before you continue. Are you suggesting that we ask maybe DDOT to shave down the curb here, or provide a ramp? Maybe address the angle of this alleyway here. I don't know if the angle is such that it would be an issue as well. That's something we could ask separately from the application. And I would support that.
I come past there every day and I see other people doing the same thing. That curb is a problem. If they're gonna mess around, and a lot of times cars be parked, like where this van is, cars be parked all the way to the edge of the curb. So nobody can cross, not even with a walker.
All right, so I think that this, highlights one of the things we talked about last time, which was kind of figuring out what to do about parking, double parking, illegal parking, and right sizing, those along the K Street corridor. And we did have a resolution in a letter to DDOT and DPW, I believe, asking for some innovation to help solve those problems. And honestly, like with the sidewalk cafe right here, it's going to reduce the, it's going to make it more likely that an accessible pathway is blocked, because right now there's a variety of area along that edge between the sidewalk and the brick driveway. Whereas, as you can see in this still right here, there'll be a narrower area that's more likely to be blocked by someone who's parked there in the alley.
That's all I have to say. That's the problem right there.
So can we take a look? I mean, if we take a look at these plans, the issue, one of the issues is that the sidewalk cafe comes all the way up to the alley. So there's no, you can't pass on this direction without going into the alley. And then you're potentially having to step off a curb in this area.
They probably cut those tables down from 5 to 4 and take away that front set of that front table that's right next to the
these ones here,
right next to the ACA buffer zone. Take off that table with 4 chairs, take off that front set, and that'll give you more traffic space to maneuver around the pole that's going into the red brick cobblestone area. Right now they have 5 tables on the front, right? 3 close to the restaurant. You got a walkway, and then you got 2 more tables. And if you push those 2 tables back, unless they're already pushed back on this diagram, it's going to push those tables into the sidewalk clearance area, if I'm reading this correctly. So I would suggest maybe moving or removing that front table right next to
this one
the
here.
ADA buffer zone, right? Remove that table off the plate completely. And that way it'll give ADA accessibility around that pole and give them the extra space they need, because that curb, looking at the picture that Kevin was talking about, it'll give them extra space to maneuver around that graded area, because it's graded, but if it's blocked, then they can't get across the driveway.
So I think the area labeled ADA buffer zone is actually the accommodation to allow the maneuvering around that lamppost. But I do hear the concern of, if we have those planters right up against the alley, and there could be a car right on the other side of that alley blocking that ADA buffer zone, then would be harder. I mean, I almost wonder whether those two tops should be eliminated. We slide those 2 4 tops down against the planter to leave more clearance there along the alley. Alternatively, like maybe the more clearance we leave, the more likely people will be to block it, right? And be, oh, well, I can park here. But almost imagining that maybe those planters there actually might may encourage there to be blockage. It might feel like a parking space more because they won't feel like they're blocking as much.
It seems
maybe-
like it seems like the picture is not drawn to scale. When I look at the live picture that he showed, it looks like you can't get 2 sets of tables there if you push them back. It'll be pushing them into the sidewalk clearance area. If my perception is correct. That makes sense to anybody?
I mean, I imagine that this diagram is probably the scale. It looks like an architectural diagram. I think perhaps Alex, want to pull that other street view photo back up? Right, so it looks like there's supposed to be 2 4-tops along the boundary between the red brick alley and the kind of more gray pavers, right? And that 2 4-tops and then 2 2-tops along the planter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there'd be one here, and then one behind it, and then the 2 tops adjacent to the planter. I could see both options working. Frank's option to remove this 4-top, and Michael's option to push these 2 against the planter, and have the 4-tops replace the 2-tops.
What is on this diagram? I see that there's like a little square with like F1, F2, F1, H, F1, F2. What do those represent here?
Those are, let's see. Oh, F1. I think those are just like the types of, this is the type of chair, the type of table.
I think H is heater.
Planter.
Oh,
H might be like a space heater.
Yeah, these are heaters, the H's.
I mean, I bet the restaurant would prefer Michael's option, which is coming against the planter so that, they can keep both tables operational. Assuming that you could reasonably do that and replace whatever the F1 box there represents and put that on the other side. I think that's a worthwhile suggestion.
So it sounds like maybe approval or support for this is we're not quite there yet.
We could be we also don't have to be prescriptive. We could say like what we're looking for in a design without telling them how to change their design.
Sure, but we should probably go back. Yeah, we don't need to make any other decisions tonight other than deciding not to move this forward.
We could, I think that we have a window of time to comment on the proposal, right?
When did they go to public space? When is there's a date?
I have to look that up. Patrick, do you know?
I was just looking that up as well, but I actually on the panelists, I do see that Antonio is unmuted. Are you with us, Antonio?
Hey guys, yes, I am.
Okay.
There is a little bit of cannot really see the screen that much, the design. I don't know how, but I just see you guys. I didn't see the design you guys were sharing. Maybe there is I don't know, internet connections, but I understood what your concern were. So, we are restaurant operators and we understand what, because sometimes patio can have issues like that. And we are open to make the best for the community and the best for the neighborhood. Moving a table from 2 feet to take a table out is not an issue. We're not a big garden. We're just like, we would like to have some kind of sittings outdoor. So whatever makes easier for the space and for the guests, we are willing to work with. I understood that maybe to move a little bit, a couple of feet away from the brown bricks and the gray bricks to create a little bit more space for the turnaround. And I don't think how it can be an issue for us just to move the table up a little bit.
So between the 2 options that we discussed, I think that I would be more in support of moving these 2 4-tops down to be flush with the planter. because not only does that allow folks to cross the alleyway more easily, but it also creates a new pedestrian passage that's not in an alleyway to transition from this curbside passage to the building side passage right here in this area. So that's probably another benefit. If we were just to remove this foretop, you would still need to walk into the alley and then back onto the street to move from curbside to building side.
Correct. Also, yeah, no, 100%. But and we also left, I think, the 10 feet between the table from the window to the other. Like we also leave the path in the middle of the gray area as well, right? So, yeah, wherever, you know, it's what we were trying to create, like a kind of like a same kind of path that other restaurants have, like on the other blocks. So try to create like a corridor, you know, not to make it. It goes on, I think, on 6th Street, no, on 4th of, I think, 5th Street. There is like other restaurants that kind of like the same path. So we were trying to recreate this kind of like same kind of path for the pedestrians. But yeah, it's whatever makes it easier for everybody. We are here to work with you guys.
So Alex, procedurally, can we provide support on an application when we don't have a design to support?
What we would do is we would recommend changes to the application.
So conditional approval.
Yeah, we could say conditional approval. We could say, for example, I can move the ANC 6E, provide conditional support for the application, conditioned on, or support for the application conditioned on the applicant moving these 2 foretops.
I would probably, in the interest of not being prescriptive, I would say conditioned on the applicant making a 4-foot buffer along the alley, like parallel to the alley, and then let them do the design, so that way, if a design is inconsistent with what we proposed, it would still meets the condition, right? If is that your thought, that we want to create a 4-foot strip?
Yeah.
Parallel to the alley.
Yeah, I think that's right. Do other folks agree? Is that where we landed?
I'm agreeing with that.
Okay. Great. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I'll try and do this. And ANC's provide conditional support to the applicant under the condition that that the design be changed to provide a 4-foot buffer, pedestrian buffer parallel and adjacent to the alleyway.
A second.
Any further discussion on the motion? And Alex, would you mind bringing your screen down?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Is that it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. That was we got Denise. Okay, that's unanimous. 7-0-0. Thank you very much. Thanks, Antonio, for popping in.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Great. Thanks. The last item for the Transportation Public Space Committee is item 20. Application for an unenclosed sidewalk cafe at Petite Cerise at 1027 7th.
Sure. And I think that is Matt. Let's see, is Matt on the line?
He was. But
he's on our side. He's on our side.
Oh, he's on our side still? There he is.
Oh, he was presenting on the previous thing. Okay, so this is the application for an unenclosed sidewalk cafe. This is on L Street. So the address of the restaurant is 7th Street, but the cafe is going to be on L Street. Commissioner Nigro, I think you expressed some concern that these two top tables were kind of sandwiched together.
Kind of unrealistic, but they'll find out when they put the
They'll
two
find out, yeah.
tables there. It's not gonna fit.
I didn't have any other questions or concerns about this application.
Well, we are thrilled that this restaurant is coming to fruition. And I spoke with Matt and the owner, one of the owners, and noticed the residents across the street. And so this has nothing to do with the furniture or the outdoor patio, but the owner has been told to be careful about the noise with this outdoor patio because it's going to be 3 meals. They're going to be serving breakfast. So they are keenly aware that we have balconies there, and I have a lot of seniors in that building, and to be on their P's and Q's with the outdoor space. But it looks great, which is what we're voting on tonight.
Okay.
2 years now.
Any feedback from commissioners or community? Okay, hearing none. Rochelle, you want to make the motion?
I move that ANC 6E support the public space application for the unclosed sidewalk cafe for Petite Cerise at 1027 7th Street Northwest, and we communicate that to the Public Space Committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lopez. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous, and thank you very much. Okay, thank you for.
Thanks, Matt.
Nora, thank you.
And I'll also, just if anyone's left on the phone, when I talked to Alex, the owner, that it's going to open hopefully at the end of September, maybe.
Actually, should that have been to the Public Space Committee, or does that go to them or someone else?
Didn't I say that?
Yeah, I thought it was like DDOT though. Is it the Public Space Committee at DDOT?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good then.
Oh, sorry.
Great. Okay, moving on. Mr. Wiggins, Commissioner Wiggins, it is your turn to shine.
Yes, on yesterday, I emailed all the commissioners a copy of the treasurer's report. The first page of that report is the bank statement from Wells Fargo. We started out with a balance of $68,658.35. All 4 checks were, all 4 checks cleared the bank to Karen, 2 to Rochelle, and 1 to Michael. So the balance forward is $68,179.53. Your second page was your checking account ledger that is managed by myself and Office of ANC. It balanced to that same $68,179.53. And our quarterly report as of today is still that same $68,179.53. I'll present the quarterly report officially next month once we get through the checks for this month. So we'll be due for another quarterly report. The treasurer's report shows our expenditures for this month was $478.82. So I move to ANC 6E support the treasury report that's being presented as being accurate and true, provided I can get a second.
Second.
Right, moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Frank, did I get a vote from you on that?
Yes.
Okay.
It was assumed. I'm sorry.
All right. No, I need a vote. All right.
Yes, yes.
There we
Our
go. And
apologies.
on to expenses.
Yeah, that's what I
and
was looking towards.
Yeah, and Frank, I think we could just do these all with one motion.
That works for me. I move the ANC 6C support the expenditures of $250 to Karen Yaley for the keeping of the minutes in the website. 9963 to Michael for the chair for the payment of the Zoom meetings. 6360 to Rochelle for agenda copies. I think that's it for expenditures this month. 3 expenses, provided I can get a second.
Second.
And the second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And did we get Kevin on that? There we go. Unanimous. All right. There we go. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Commissioner Wiggins. Do we have any announcements this evening from commissioners? Okay, and do we have any announcements from any remaining community members who are with us still? Okay, and with that, I will just announce that the next meeting is Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. And with that, I will move to adjourn if I can get a second.
Second.
Well, everyone seconded. And all in favor? For adjournment?
Aye.
Okay, and that's unanimous as well. Thank you everyone for a successful meeting this evening.
Good night.
Take care.
Good
Stay
night,
dry if
everybody.
you're gonna
Be
head
safe.
back
Stay
out.
safe.
Stay safe,
Good night.
everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I can get back on my base.